Welcome to the Build It Better podcast. I'm your host, Robert Johnson, and we are in the beautiful locale of Argentina. Now, we're not. He is. He is Andres Tilkin. And welcome, buddy. I am so glad to have you. I've never interviewed a TEDx speaker before, and so this is a first for me.
Well, it was a first for me too.
Well, we're going to talk about that because I'm guilty as all get out, and jealous as all get out. So tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're at, what you do, and we'll go from there.
For starters, Robert, it's a pleasure for me to meet you. As you mentioned, I'm from Argentina. I'm one of five partner founders of a building company called
Mm-hmm.
Nova Fusion. And also, we found another company, which is Cicla, also our trademark. And with Cicla, we are building and manufacturing light gauge steel, and
Okay.
we're panelizing and building structures. And uh, we've been around building systems for some time. We tried different things, including cellulose and light concrete. We built the only four-story building that is here, at least here in Argentina. And I don't know for anyone that built a structure light steel, light concrete. So that was an amazing experience too. But
Now let me
when
jump
we,
in. It was light
yeah,
gauge steel and lightweight concrete.
yeah, that I mixed those because that's what we did after that, but that time it was
Mm-hmm.
only light concrete.
Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm.
It's cellular concrete.
Yes.
Yeah, that building has no normal concrete at all, and it's 1,600 kilos per square per cubic meter. Sorry,
So it's very
of
lightweight.
concrete, very light. It was a big challenge. We worked for almost a year and a half on those formulas to make sure that it would stand, and it was successful. But then, as you mentioned, we met the light gauge steel, and we were crazy about it. So the first try was to infill the light gauge steel with the light concrete, and for
Mm-hmm.
that purpose, we used 350 kilos per cubic meter, which is almost water and cement
Mm-hmm.
and foam. That was all. So we experiment with that. We build a couple of buildings that way. And then we met the cellulose. So that was the magic match. From then onwards, we just worked with cellulose and light gauge steel as the best combination ever for insulation.
So you're filling the light gauge steel panels with the lightweight concrete and then with the cellulose.
We replace the
Mm-hmm.
concrete, which is it was very challenging
Sure.
to keep the concrete of the all the installations and all that, all the
Sure.
pipes.
Mm-hmm.
So the cellulose was so fast, clean, light. That was magic. Even a better insulation also. So that's the best marriage we got until now.
So correct me if I'm wrong. So you actually either were building or now I know, and I think I saw this was back in 2019 was building the largest light gauge steel structure in Argentina.
Well, it was by that time. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure if it is now because
Mm-hmm.
many of our competitors in the market are doing great jobs and are working a lot too. So, but at that time, yeah, it was.
Okay, so you said something that really makes me want to dig into this a little bit more. How widely adopted is load-bearing partition systems done with light gauge steel in Argentina? Has it gone through the same struggles that North America, that the U.S. has had?
Well, it's a very good question since we are competing to very different building systems. You are building with wood, so
Mm-hmm.
for you, um, are things that are familiar. Here in Argentina, we're competing against concrete and bricks, and so the change is is a lot bigger when you go from bricks to steel. Of course, you must have heard this before. The first thing our first customers did when they got into a building built with light gauge steel is just to knock the wall, right? Because they
Mm-hmm.
want to get that feeling of a brick, of something heavy there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you don't put a very good insulation, then you get that
Mm-hmm.
feeling that is not like that. So that was one of the things that we used the light concrete for, just
Ah,
to fight with that feeling, right? So
gotcha.
that helped us a lot to put it into the market. And once we could show the system and show the structures, and they look very good, many people start wondering, I guess this is a good building system. So we got the chance to get them knocking at our door asking, what is all that about? What is the steel
Hmm.
about? I want to learn more about this.
And it's
But
cheaper,
I didn't answer
much
your
cheaper than
question.
concrete and brick, right?
Well, actually, it's pretty much the same here in
Okay,
Argentina
so it's the
because bricks
same
are
same
very,
argument that we get
very
here. Yeah.
cheap. I know that in the States, building with concrete and bricks is very expensive, but not here in
Mm-hmm.
Argentina.
Okay.
And that's what made all these systems. Let me rephrase that. We had to wait a long time to get all these systems ready to go here in Argentina and practically in all South America, because bricks are so cheap and materials that we use
Mm-hmm.
with these systems were used to be very expensive. So it made
Mm-hmm.
no sense for anyone to change the building system. That's not the case now.
Gotcha.
Fortunately, we're getting all these claddings and all these materials that are ready to go, that are very good quality and on price. So this was a big change some years ago. So we've seen an increase growth in Argentina, and I see the same thing in Latin America. I could say about a 20-25% each year of people turning into these systems. Another thing that helps a lot is many people concerned about climate change, about
Mm-hmm.
using recycled materials,
Mm-hmm.
bringing more green technologies to their homes. And of course, energy efficiency is becoming more and more important by the days because
Exactly.
the cost of energy is getting higher and higher, right?
Great. Well, so it does sound very similar. So, I would say I would tend to agree with you. And I think this is probably from the people that I've spoken to, it tends to be maybe a global thing. Over the last 4 years, the prefabricated light gauge steel has really gained to some traction. It still hasn't gotten the traction that I think we're going to wind up with, and that will wind up being, but it clearly has gotten better. Um, so let's chase this rabbit for a minute. Tell me about TEDx. How did you get in? How did that all come about, and what did you talk about?
Well, that's a great question because I have no idea how I was invited to that TED talk. So I guess that I participated in some forums, not here in Argentina, but also in Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
I can recall Peru, Paraguay, and there's always the same topics that I'm familiar with, and
Hmm.
I was invited to talk about, which are the new building technologies available and why to change to those technologies. So somehow I started to study what's driving in a very good way to
Hmm.
change. So I was wondering, when I was invited to this TED Talk, which is it was in May,
Hmm.
I wonder, everyone can go to YouTube and just see how many and amazing new technologies are there available.
Right.
But what no one is really talking about, or at least not too much, is why is it important to change?
Yeah.
Since
Great point.
changing is so difficult and sometimes scary, right?
Hmm.
Especially when we're talking about a home. Owners are always thinking this is going to be my last home. No one is
Right.
building a new home thinking that
Right.
they're going to change it in a couple of years. So you're talking to people that are thinking, if we were thinking about a new phone, of course, you will jump right at update and just how can I get it?
Right.
And you're not expecting it to last more than maybe 4 or 5 years.
Hmm.
But when it comes to your home, it's like a forever home all the
Hmm.
time. And changing what you think is the proper way to do it. And imagine that when you talk about bricks and concrete, we're talking
Hmm.
about thousands of years building in a very similar way,
Yeah.
hundreds pretty much the same. So it's proven. So that's a way to do things. That's going to last forever. That's my forever home.
Yeah.
So then we come there and then we say, look, it's not about if it lasts forever, which we can assure you that it will. It's about if your building system is answering to the challenges that we have nowadays and that we will have in the next 10, 20 years. So
Correct.
that's the real question, right?
Hmm.
And so my purpose, and not to spoil all the TED talk, but my purpose there was to talk about what are those challenges and why these new technologies are addressing those problems in a much better way. So that was it, what
Yeah.
it was about.
Um, man, I mean, yeah, and absolutely spot on because this is what we have been fighting, at least me and in North America, and I mean even clients that I have, Saudi Arabia, Australia, as you well know, same thing. They're still fighting the same. In Saudi Arabia, it's block and concrete, and and here it's wood and stucco, and just and so I always use the when I'm talking to a developer or a builder that kicks back, and I say, look, do you remember when PEX came in and everybody was like, no, I'm never going to give up my copper. My copper. I mean, we've done it with copper for 50 years. This is all we've ever used, and now you don't find copper in a building, hardly any at all. And so it does. It's change in the building industry is so hard to do. I can tell you this, and I'm curious to get your feedback from past, current, and past customers. Every single project that I've been involved in that was built specifically light gauge, prefabricated light gauge steel, 100% of those people have said to me, "Wow, I don't know why I didn't do this before. I'll never build any other way." Do you find that to be the answer a lot of times?
Exactly. Imagine that I live in a tourist, very beautiful and small town, which is called San Martin de los Andes. There's a ski resort in here. So we get a lot of people from other provinces, especially Buenos Aires,
Hmm.
coming and buying a lot and building a house, right?
Hmm.
So they're not here all the time. And sometimes what we get is that they are here, for example, on a Saturday and they see just foundations and nothing else. So they go to ski, they go to have fun, and then in 4 days, we just build up all this structure where
Hmm.
they can walk and they can just climb from a stair,
Hmm.
go inside all the rooms. So they have all these openings. So the windows are there, the rooms are there. So they get this exactly what you mentioned. They're amazed that in just from one Saturday to next one, they had all their home right
Yeah.
there for them to just to get familiar with it.
Yeah.
So you won't get that still not with our system. Maybe if you're building with wood, it's faster, probably not that fast because it's not exactly the same. But yes, it's faster than the bricks. But here, and that's why these building systems are different. They're amazed because that
Oh,
would
yeah.
probably take more than 2 months and not 4 days. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, what's interesting here is that you would think that wood and steel, as far as framing goes, would be similar. The real puzzler here is that prefabricated wood wall panels is not a big thing. It really has not taken off here. It's not done very much. Katera and some of those people tried it, but it's really not that big of a deal. So they're still traditional stick framing everything, which
mm,
means that these construction sites are just inundated with piles of lumber and plywood, and you can't drive around a project, and yet you show up here for somebody the first time to build the very first project that I was involved in was a 5-story multifamily project. And we showed up on a Friday, which they say never start a job on a Friday, but we did anyway. And all of the company, we come to find out, all of the C-level executives from the company showed up over the weekend to see what we had done on a Friday, and they were amazed. They like, you were here a day, and you have
exactly.
a ton of walls up. And as this thing progressed, I mean, this particular owner said, he's the one that said those words to me specifically. I will never build another project any other way. He builds 2 a year about that size. He's now building a 7-story, and it's all light gauge steel. So yeah, it's interesting. Now, you are a strong proponent of Scottsdale construction systems,
Sure.
um, and Knudsen. Now, I don't know, what systems do you have specifically?
In Scottsdale, well, yeah, we call this intelligent steel framing, right?
Yes.
Because you get this combination, which is amazing, of a very strong software in which you can design but also engineer your structure. And this is very strong because when it comes to building, you are certain that the structure is right for the place where you're using it. But also, you get no scrap from it because you're just building each piece exactly the way it's needed just to panelize it. So
Hmm.
you're building all these small pieces of structure, which are very easy to assemble. We use rivets, which gives us a lot of speed and is very, very useful for workers because they're always in a comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
So this was at least what I saw in South America and
Hmm.
especially in Argentina with many, many new factories in the last 2 years. We are seeing some amazing results coming from this because factories are able to build at such speed that they can get out of the factories many houses per month.
Hmm.
And this is something that we didn't know. And there's a very bad concept about prefabricated houses here in Argentina.
Hmm.
So we're more about telling industrialized construction.
There you go.
But it's the same thing, right? But the
Yeah.
thing is that many people did a very poor quality
Yeah.
houses prefabricated. So since we are fighting against the lack of willing to change, then
Fighting the past. Yeah.
we're trying to find the way to communicate in a better way. So industrialized construction, as we are showing people now, is becoming more and more accepted. And when it comes to Scottsdale, what I find is that the technology is very easy to use. The machines are very simple, though they're very powerful.
hmm
I don't cease to amaze when I go to the factory after 7 years of using the technology and see that machine and what comes out of it.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. And every engineer or architect or developer that I go to the factory with, I always get the same reaction. And there's no one that could. It's like we go back in time and then we're child again and we're with best toy ever and you get
Oh,
to
it's
put your
so
hands
true.
on it. And so it's the best experience ever, right?
Yeah.
But what's coming out of that are homes,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah, and it is. You're exactly right. When the smile, the wonder um, that people experience when they see it, and they act like it's the first one. They see your equipment and they feel like it's the first one that's ever been made, and it's this big secret that nobody knows about until you tell them, "Oh, hey, these are all over the world." They're building with them. It's much more prevalent in certain places in the world than it is here, and they're just stunned. They're like, "You got to be kidding me! Why aren't?" And then like here in the states, it's probably somewhat similar to there, but the big issue is everybody's used to framing and working with lumber. So all of the mechanical, electrical, the plumbing people, everybody's used to it, and they're going to bid on a project that's now going to be panelized light gauge steel, and their price goes up. And their price goes up only because they don't understand what they're working with. And so the owners and developers come to me and they're like, I don't know what to do. I mean, all the prices have gone up. I said, I got this. We build a little mock-up on the site and tell them, bring all your people that are bidding and let's do a little show and tell and show them, oh, you need a service hole punched in the top to go from here to here. We'll put that in for you. We just need to know it when we design it. You want one 6 inches off the ground all the way around? Okay, great, no problem. You just need to let us know. Then you just leave that drill in the truck. You don't need to drill a hole. You don't need to do anything. And then once they build one, then they're like, oh, I don't want to work on another wood job. I mean, this is what
Yeah,
I want to
sure.
do for everything. So
Exactly.
Um, and those prices go the other way. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm the man hours, the labor, which is another thing. And I don't know about in Argentina here, and it's pretty much a worldwide problem. Skilled labor. Skilled labor is horrible to find here. And
Yeah.
so being able to a horrible word phrase, but dumb down the craftsmanship to the point that somebody right out of high school or right out of college can go to work and can assemble panels, can install panels, can do any number of things with this trusses. Yeah, it's a game changer. It really is, and I say it and beat that drum all the time. And people fight, 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 fight. No, 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 fight until they see it. And they're like, oh, okay, you're right. Sorry, I guess I just didn't realize it. So, do you experience the same kind of stuff there?
Yeah, I agree absolutely with you. It's a very good way to express what really happens. The thing is that you simplify the tasks, but
Mm-hmm.
also you reduce them. So one of the challenges that we have, every country has the almost the same amount of shortage when it comes to houses, right?
Interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had the chance to, in one of these forums, to see Peru, 2 million 200 new houses, adding to that every year. Same thing in Paraguay. In Argentina, we are around 4 million. I guess in the States it's about 7 or some or so.
Hmm.
But if you go worldwide, the only conclusion is we're going to need a lot of people working in the building, in the building industry, because we are going to need to build a lot of houses. So how do we train people to do that? In Argentina, what we are seeing is that young people are not willing to get involved
No.
in construction. No, because it's very hard to learn to work in a proper way, in a traditional way, right?
Hmm. Correct.
Concrete is not easy to work with. It takes
Right.
time. It takes effort. To get the skills takes a lot of
Hmm.
time. So you get a long way to get good enough to earn the money that you want to earn. So that's make it very difficult. But
Hmm.
when you simplify everything, as you mentioned, and you reduce all the tasks that you need, to build a wall in with
Hmm.
bricks and concrete, probably you have 10 tasks. If you do
Hmm.
it with this system, you will have 3 or 4. So
Hmm.
that's why it's fast. That's why it's easy. But the most important thing is that's the reason that it's going to be a lot easier to train people to use these kind of technologies than the ones that we already know,
Yeah.
because they're simple.
Yeah. The and you know the other thing is that so the generation that's getting out of school or getting out of college now, they want to do gaming, they want to do something with a computer, and I'm like, well, fantastic. You show them the software and show them how the okay, get in here. We're hurting. Everybody hurts for designers anyway, and
Hmm.
so get in this and learn design, learn this software, and work in it. You can do that, and that is much also quicker than learning AutoCAD and how to draft and you know it used to be the only people you could get to do anything like this were people that had gone to school and knew AutoCAD and were architects or something. Um, it's really the software is so easy to use
Exactly.
that you know you can spend you know a couple of months, 6 months, and you know you've seen everything there is to see, and now it's just learning to catch and see and make sure everything's you know being done the right way. It, it's just it's fun for me. It's
Yeah.
fun to be in on this side of it because I do see this as the future. We're going to get there one way or another. We're going to drag them kicking and screaming, and they're going to come on their own. But man, what a good time and what fun to see new people getting into the trades. Um, you know, these systems need maintenance, and they need operators, and they need, you know, the design. It's just it's different tasks. It's not having to haul bricks and mortar, which like, and it's in a controlled environment. You know, we haven't even hit that yet. I mean,
Sure.
this is not out in the building in the weather where the weather can stop you or slow you down. You go to work every day. I mean, nothing's going to stop you unless the electric goes out or you know something like that. But you're working every day.
Imagine,
Um,
where I live, we were supposed to finish some jobs, and of course, May is usually is not a problem. This
mhm.
year, we got a lot of snow in May, and we couldn't get to the building sites. So imagine how important is the weather when you
Yeah,
can just build and you don't care about what's happening, right?
exactly, exactly. So, Andres, what is something that we haven't talked about that you would want to talk about?
I would just go back just a bit in what you mentioned about the software,
Hmm.
just to share our experience as
Hmm.
customers. Because
Hmm.
first, before becoming more involved with Scottsdale, I was a customer like
Hmm.
anyone
Sure.
else. So someone came from New Zealand and trained us and
Hmm.
stayed here for 10 days.
Hmm.
And those 10 days were more than enough for us to learn how to work with the software. And
Hmm.
after that, solve any kind of building challenges that we had. Of course, the first month or month and a half or the first 2 or 3 jobs we asked for, can I solve this roof, how can I
Exactly.
do these walls, but again we got the support that we wanted, and after that we were on our own and we had no more problems. So the software is, as you mentioned, so easy to use. And coming from IT, because I studied that at university, programming in my days was so much complex than doing
Oh,
it right now. So
crazy.
this evolution, fortunately, is getting finally to the building construction systems, because every other aspect of technology went so fast and so vast, and construction is always staying the same way. So it's very encouraging to see that finally we're getting some innovation in
Yes.
the building industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also seeing, that you mentioned innovation. I'm having discussions now much more about robotics and integration of robotics in factories that are doing prefabrication, industrialized construction.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, yeah. Uh,
At least
and
for the
so,
Argentinian
yeah,
public.
exactly. We won't be able to play this in Argentina unless I change it. Um, but it is the innovation is coming. And another thing I want to throw in, and I know that you'll understand this, being a builder and have done it the number of years you have. One of the things that I tell people is that when you get these systems and you start using them, something happens in your brain creatively and as an innovator, and you start seeing and thinking about other ways to build things that you can utilize the technology for. And when you start thinking about soffits, and you start thinking about just different pieces, and go, well, I can build that entire roof structure on the ground and lift it up with a crane. I
Yeah,
mean, things that you would never think about before. And I'm just naming just a few. But did you find, I mean, don't you see that people start thinking about things differently, and they start figuring out ways to use the technology?
absolutely. And most important thing about that is that they come out with solutions that weren't there just because they
Exactly.
want to be more competitive, right?
Hmm.
So, okay, now we're all panelizing. What can I do different?
Hmm.
Okay, I can add cladding. I can go with my walls finished to the building side, or I
Hmm.
can do modular, or I can do, as you mentioned, I can build all this roof and then just
Hmm.
lift it and put it there. So people are, we are very creative, and we're always thinking, what's new, what's next, what can we do?
Yep.
At least some of us.
Yeah.
So
No. And I think it comes with those naturally, that are the early adopters, or that have been the early adopters, and those that are getting involved now see that excitement and see that innovation, and they're like, I've got to be a part of this. And so, again, thank you for beating the drum, for talking about it. This is how people learn. It's how people find out, and this is how we're going to lead the change. Um, Man, I can't thank you enough. We're going to have to do this again.
oh, my
Absolutely going to have to
pleasure.
do this again. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
We are in social media. We are in Scott Sales webpage. You
Okay.
just look for who's taking care of South America
Okay.
with Scott Sale, and you will find me.
So are you basically the representative for all of Latam?
Yeah, I'm kind of South America manager.
Okay.
In we
Okay.
all also do all the training and all the support in Spanish
Oh, good.
or English, whatever is needed, but especially for Latin America in Spanish.
Okay.
And we did something also, which I find very interesting, which is using our trademark, Cicla.
Mm-hmm.
We built a network of factories that we work together.
Ah.
We share knowledge, experiences. We market ourselves together.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it's not only that, it's like building a new way to relate with other entrepreneurs that probably would have been competitors, and
Yeah.
now we are allies. So that's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah. And some of those people wouldn't have made it. They would have gone away. They wouldn't have stayed in business. This is some, I mean, you undoubtedly it has helped bring some others along, and it adds added capacity to you if you need capacity or in a certain area, or one of them needs capacity. So
Absolutely. You got it.
yeah, so we need to do more of that here. Definitely need to do more of that here. So well, listen. What I tell everybody when we're done is, we all know how to build it the old way. Let's now go off and build it better. What do you say? Thanks for listening.